Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Good evening, Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose. With me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide, and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Excuse my OCD-ness as I get my phone straight there. We're going to call this the teen edition, the special teen edition. So round up your teenagers. Round up your teenagers, give them the phone, and you can go in the other room. Big Papa's going to have a conversation with your teenagers. Yes, I am. But you're welcome as parents too. In fact, why don't you all just gather around the little glowing flame. Let's have a conversation. So I've been getting asked to talk about teens, to talk to teens for a long time. And it's almost like every time I am asked to do that, my first thought is, well, what am I going to say that I haven't already said? Because I really feel like so much of everything that I talk about applies to everyone. But the truth of the matter is, if you are a teenager and your parents are tuning in to Post Daily Dose and tuning in to Big Papa on a regular basis, it's probably because you have gone through foster care, you've been adopted, or you've gone through some traumatic challenges as a biological child. And all of those experiences, one way or the other, have impacted you and have probably impacted your family. And it creates some extraordinary circumstances. And so I thought this evening would be a great opportunity. In fact, Hannah, hi Hannah, sent a message, and Christy reminded me that Hannah was a child of a family at one of our camps years ago, and her mother has since passed. So my condolences go out to you, Hannah. And so that's what prompted me to have this conversation with you guys and with your teenagers this evening. So here's Big Papa's take on being a teenager. Hey, Caitlin. So first of all, I'm going to say again, foster child, adopted child, biological child with a trauma experience. So it's all encompassing when I talk to teenagers. And then really just teenagers in general. Being a teenager is tough. There's really no other way around it. And so let's talk about it in a couple of different ways. Number one, your brain is changing. Your brain is changing right now in a way that it hasn't changed since you were a child. So right now, your brain is going through and it's making a lot of adjustments, and it's called a pruning process, where in fact it heats up and it starts to prune away. And you know how you trim around a tree, hedges, dead branches off of a tree. Well, that's what your brain's doing right now. It's pruning away everything that hasn't been useful. Now, the particularly challenging part of that is that it makes you a lot more susceptible to stress, and your hormones are more activated, are peaking. And so you are tired a lot easier than you have been previously. So you may be a little more grumpy. You're going to be a lot more sensitive. And you just don't feel yourself because you're going through this significant, it's called a developmental change. Now, along with that developmental change is your brain is preparing you towards young adulthood. So you're getting prepared to move into adulthood. So that's like the number two challenge. The number two challenge, in addition to your brain being on fire and going through all of these developmental changes, and these neurologic changes is that you're moving towards adulthood, and there's a part of you, it's like split right in half. There's a part of you that wants nothing more than to just be a freaking adult. You want to make your own decisions. You don't want anyone telling you what to do. You want to get up when you want to get up. You want to clean up when you want to clean up. You want to eat what you want. You want to talk to who you want to talk to. You want to stay out as long as you want to stay out. That's just normal. That's how we feel when we're teens. But there is another part of you that is scared a lot shitless. You do not want to leave home because you know out there in that world is probably not as peachy keen as you might think it is or have been led to believe. So that creates the part of you that wants to be out in the world, and the part of you that's scared shitless about getting into the world creates a conflict. Now, here's what you got to understand. Your parents feel the exact same way. Your parents, after having dealt with all the crap, over the period of time, and you haven't dealt with their crap over the period of time, they want you to move on into adulthood as well. They're ready for a break, but they're also freaked out by it. So if you can think about you look at him, look at your parent right now, look at them, and just think. You're scared and stressed out and excited and ready to move on, and they're scared and stressed out and excited for you to move on. You see how that gets all confusing and overwhelming? So then here's part number 3. Part number 3 is when you've experienced trauma in your life, foster care, adoption, biological traumas. There's a part of your brain called your brainstem that holds all that trauma. When you start to move into those heightened levels of stress, that part of your brain that stores all that trauma starts to get stirred up. And really, throughout your life, it's that part of your brain and it's those experiences that have gotten stirred up and created most of the conflict and the drama in your life. Day to day, day in and day out, there's probably hasn't been a lot of conflict and drama until you get stressed out. When you get stressed out, it activates a part of your brain that stores all your pain. It stores all your fear. It stores all your trauma, and that's what shows up. Literally, you ever seen that show Into the Badlands? I mention it because I was just watching it on AMC, usually on Sunday nights, but certain people have this special power and their eyes just black over and they go into this advanced superhero kind of state. Well, that's exactly what happens to you when your brainstem gets stirred up and your fear and your trauma and all those negative experiences. When your amygdala, you get stressed out, your brainstem turns on all those things and your eyes glaze over into that black state and you move into this superhero stage. But it's like a dysfunctional superhero stage because all of a sudden you start acting in ways that you know are not in your best interest. But you know what? You don't do it by yourself. Your parents do the same freaking thing. See, that's the conflict. The conflict is that your parents were once children too. And most of your parents experienced trauma too. They probably never talked to you about it, but they probably experienced more trauma than you've even experienced. They just haven't talked to you about it because they've gotten older. You're like me, you're 45 years old. You spent 45 years getting away from that pain or whatever, and then you don't ever talk about it because now you're 45 years old and everyone wants to focus on your pain because you're 15. Right? Or you're 13, or you're 12, or you're 16, or you're 17, and your pain's so obviously present. Everyone can talk about, your case file and your diagnosis and your medication, and I know you're tired of that crap. You get tired of that crap. That's another thing that goes against teenagers, and one of the reasons why there's so much conflict in homes, because adults get freaked out when it comes to teens moving towards independence, but at the same time, they don't want them to go. And then that conflict that gets created causes you to be the focus of a lot of negative energy, a lot of stress. And so you're the one who ends up with the diagnosis, with the medication. It's like, and probably because you were in foster care or adopted or have some trauma, you probably have behavior challenges throughout your life because you're sensitive to stress. That's at the root of your behavior challenges, your emotional challenges, your depression, your anxiety, your pain, your suffering. Anything that ails you, that continues to ail you and has been ailing you since the time you were a child is rooted in the fact that you are sensitive to stress. You are easily overwhelmed. And when you feel that way, it's like that, the black eyes just glazes over. Check out Into the Badlands. I'm serious. It's really good. So your eyes black over, and then you do stuff that you're not supposed to do, that you know you shouldn't do. But here's what I want to go back to. Your parents do the same freaking thing because they got trauma too. So it's like someone's a catalyst. Usually it's stress. Like everyone's just stressed out about something. You're stressed out about freaking school and teachers you got to deal with and kids that probably aren't so nice all the time and bad cafeteria food and having to get up early when your brain tells you you want to sleep until 10 and then your brain tells you you want to stay up until 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and then all of a sudden you got these adults who are pestering you to get up at 7:30 in the morning, 8 in the morning, when it goes against all your natural rhythms for the state that you're in. And so you're stressed out. Then your parents have bills to pay. They're like worried that you're not going to be a productive, contributing member of society. Think about how crazy that is. You're 15 years old or 13 years old or 16 or 17. You've got all these days, weeks, and hours and minutes and years to go before you're actually 18, 19, 20, 21. But they're terrified that you're not going to be a contributing member of society, and then they start freaking out all the time. And this probably started by the time at the age of 5. They started freaking out when you were 5 years old that you were not going to be a contributing member to society, that you were not going to be responsible, that you were not going to get up on time and be able to hold down a job and be respectful of people. They started freaking out about that when you were 5 years old. Can you imagine that? That tells you how anxious and stressed out and scared your parents are. But you know what? When they get anxious and stressed out and scared, they tap into their own trauma, into their own pain. And when they tap into their own trauma and their own pain, their eyes black over too. And before you know it, you got two crazy people. Literally, both of you are crazy. You're both crazy. Your eyes are both glazed freak over, and you got swords and knives, and you're yelling and spitting and cussing and slashing, and you're fighting it out. And then finally you get exhausted and the eyes glaze back over and you're normal again, and both of you are like, holy crap, what did we just do? We do it over and over and over and over again. That doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you bad. The problem is society has a tendency to put all the focus on the kid. Society has a tendency to put all the focus on you and all the focus on your struggles and all the focus on your pain. And that's really sad and that's really unfortunate, because us as adults, we have just as much junk. We have just as much crap, and oftentimes have suffered just as much as you have as a child. And so it's unfortunate that we redirect, and you've gone to so many therapists, and therapists do the same freaking thing. They blame you and diagnose you and medicate you and want to do therapy and talk to you and give you cookies and take you out to McDonald's and all that other kind of crap. At the end of the day, it's still them trying to make you to blame. And you feel that, and you get tired of it, and you don't know what else to do with it. And so you either go inward and you get depressed, or you act out even more. Eyes glaze over, go inward, get depressed, or you act out even more. Parents get more freaked out, and then before you know it, there's all this conflict over and over and over again. Let me tell you something. Everything you've gone through does not define who you are. It doesn't define who you are. Everything you've gone through has gone in the making of who you will become. And who you will become is whoever that person is that you want to be. Don't allow the history that you've had, and don't allow any adult around you to define who you are, because you are still in the making. You are still developing. You are still maturing. Us adults, we're the ones who should have it all together, and we don't. If we're losing our bacon over some way that you're behaving, that just tells you we don't have it together. But we get so stressed out because you don't have it together. We get stressed out because you're 15 years old and have only been in the freaking world for 15 years and you don't have it together. So we get all stressed out. You know what that is? All that is our own guilt. It's our own guilt and our own shame that we feel like we failed you, like we didn't do a good enough job. And see, for some reason, we have a hard time turning that off, and we have a hard time taking responsibility for that. But that's our stuff. I don't want you to be defined by anyone around you. You are not your diagnosis. You're not your medication. You're not your history. You're not your abandonment. You're not your rejection. You're not your neglect. You're not your sexual abuse, your physical abuse. You're not being left in a room for long periods of time when you were 2 years old or 3 years old or a baby. You're not being yelled at. You're not being shamed. You are not that person. That is not you. That cannot define you. It will only go into making you more of who you are eventually going to become. And who you are going to become is something special. Let me tell you this. Who you're going to become is something special because of what you've gone through. You've gone through something extraordinary. 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 You've gone through something extraordinary. Most other normal people haven't gone through what you've gone through. They don't have the fortitude that you've developed at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. A lot of people haven't gone through a fraction of what you've gone through. And therefore, they can't become who you're eventually going to become. But here's what I want to tell you. Here's what I want you to think about. So you may be all conditioned right now and conditioned for all this negativity and all this stress and all this overwhelm because you feel like the world's on you all the time, on you all the time. But here's what I want you to keep in mind. You have a special gift. You have a special gift. There is something very special about you. You would not have gone through everything you've gone through up to this point, this moment, if the next moments to come were not to become something amazing. You have a very special gift within you. And I want to encourage you. Find that gift. Find that gift and be all of that gift you can be. And that gift may be video games. That gift may be texting on your cell phone. That gift may be playing Magic Kingdom or Warrior Garden or whatever those games may be. And it may be working on car engines, and it may be building castles with Legos, and it may be running for hours. It may be lifting weights. It may be playing sports. It may be painting. It may be being interested in helping animals and wanting to bring home every animal you see on the road. You've got a special gift. It doesn't matter what it is. The only thing that matters is that you take that gift. You take that gift and you build on that gift. You build on it. And the problem is, it's not a problem, but a challenge. The challenge is you're going to have to build on that gift in spite of so many of the people around you. Because a lot of the people around you, a lot of the adults around you are going to be scared. They're going to be scared because they feel like they've been conditioned to believe that you got to focus on weaknesses. And that's unfortunate. But that's just how we've been raised up until this point. Don't focus on your weaknesses. Don't worry about your weaknesses. Worry and focus on, don't worry at all. Focus on your gifts. Focus on harvesting your gifts and your strengths, just like a freaking superpower, because you got a superpower, because you came from a faraway land. You came from a different planet, a planet of something that most other people have not experienced. And it's equipped you with something very special. I want you to focus on that. I want you to focus on that strength. And when you're doing that, I want you to start paying attention to yourself and start remembering that you have the ability to choose in any given moment whether you continue to give your power away to the adults around you and let them stress you all out, or if you say, no, I'm not going to give my power away anymore. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to choose to be positive, and I'm going to choose to be loving, and I'm going to choose to be committed and determined and passionate and persistent, and I'm going to pursue my dreams and my hopes and my goals. I'm not going to let anyone else define me. You have the ability to do that. You don't have to continue to be a victim to the experiences that you've had or the people around you. And that can even include your parents. Your parents have a responsibility to get their act together, but they may not be able to always get their act together. So you got to be able to forgive them, and you might as well start forgiving them now. Start forgiving them now, because if you get mired down in the anger and the resentment and the depression, it's just going to hold you down. And then you're just going to be suppressing your gifts. And that's unfortunate because that's not who you're destined to be. Who you're destined to be is someone great, someone magical, someone amazing, someone powerful. That's who you're destined to be. There's not a single great person in our society right now who has not come from circumstances of serious trauma. Remember that. Not a single great person has not come from circumstances of serious trauma in their life. Whether it's some kind of emotional absence, parental depression, physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, early loss, alcoholism. What those experiences do is they change your brain. They change your brain right now because you're young. It seems like it changes it for the worse, but it really doesn't. It changes it for the better. You just got to get to that point. You just got to get to that point. And I just want to encourage you. Focus on your strengths. Focus on your gifts. And remember, don't give your power away. Don't give your power. You got to deal in this world with adults for now until you become an adult. And I know it's going to be scary as you move towards young adulthood and into adulthood. It's going to be scary, but you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And your parents are eventually going to relax. See, this is a beautiful thing. Your parents are eventually going to relax. They may not be able to relax right now. Now, if they're chiming in and they're tuning in to Big Papa, I'm encouraging them as much as I can. Relax, relax, relax. Love your kid, love your kid, love your kid. Understand them, understand them, understand them. See the stress, see the fear. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my part as much as I can. But they're eventually going to get there. And you're probably experiencing already where they relax sometimes and they feel better and everything feels good. Okay, thank them for working so hard because not every parent is interested in working so hard. Not every parent is tuning in to learn how to parent differently, to learn how to parent in some more awakened, some more enlightened, some more understanding, some more loving way. Not every parent is doing that. So ease up on them. Give them a freaking break. They're doing the best they can. Yes, they experienced trauma too. They came from painful circumstances too. Give them a break. They're doing the best they can. They are doing the best they can. You're doing the best you can. So you're all up in that home. You're all doing the best you can. The best thing you can do is love one another. That's the best thing you can do. And you're not always going to like what your parents ask you to do or want you to do. And they're not always going to enjoy and like your reactions and the way you roll your eyes or talk back or do the things you do. But at the end of the day, the best thing you guys can do is just love one another. Just love one another. You've got great parents. Yeah, they may suck on a lot of days, but you've got great parents because they're trying to do something different. They're trying to see you differently. They're trying to relate to you differently, different than the majority of the world will relate to you. So ease up on them a little bit. They're not all bad. They're not all bad. So that's all Big Papa's got to say. Find your gifts. Follow your passion. Don't give away your power to the world around you. Even though the world around you tries to define you and see you as something bad, don't give your power away. Hang on to your power. And the best way to hang on to your power is to not get stressed out, not allow your stress to not allow yourself to get overwhelmed. Breathe. Practice your breathing. Remember, in any given situation, you always have two choices. Any situation, you've always got two choices. You can react and get stressed out and cuss and run away and cut yourself and go drink and operate out of fear. Or you can stop. You can take 3 to 10 deep breaths. You can close your eyes. You can think about what you love the most. You can think about what you're the most passionate about. You can calm yourself down and you can choose love. Big Papa loves you. You are the chosen one. Follow your dreams, follow your strengths, follow your goals, and don't let anyone deter you from that. God bless you. Talk to you guys later.